Land Use Act as applied in Lagos State. Do we know about the Land Use Act? Can someone tell us what the Land Use Act is? You may not be thoroughly specific, but even if you have an idea, I'd like to hear it so I know where I'm going from. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Any other person? Okay.
Land Use Act, it says that every land in Nigeria is in the care of the government for the people. Like, it's for the people, but it is in the care of the government. The government can decide to do whatever they want to do with it, but for the interest, it has to be for the interest of the people.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have something to say? Okay. Now, let's go ahead. Between the two of them, they have defined and told us about the Land Use Act. Land Use Act was actually enacted 1978. So when that Land Use Act came to be, what did it come to address? Why was that law enacted? You know, some people will say promulgated. It was actually promulgated. But do we know the difference between enact and promulgate? Yes, sir. Okay.
Military use promulgation. Why the civil use acts?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much, sir. We need to know things. So, if there is a military government in place, whatever law they promulgate, decrees, civilians enact laws, acts. Military promulgates decrees, civilians enact acts. Acts and laws. You know? So, now, that is the reason why you see this Land Use Act. But when it was done under, who was ruling Nigeria in 1978? Obasanjo, as a military man. Then it was a decree. But immediately you transit to a civilian government, all the decrees become acts. When you now go back to military regime again, they become decrees again all over. It's a bit of history and government together. So the Land Use Act states that all lands within the entire territory of Nigeria, pay attention though, within the entire territory of Nigeria, belongs to the people and is owned by the people. But however, it is administered by the state governor in whatever state in which the land happens to be. But by the federal government in the case of the Federal Capital Territory. Now, what it means is that the governor is not the owner of the land. There is no land in Lagos State that is owned by government per se. But government is the owner in trust. They hold it in trust for you, the owner. So that whatever you do there, they will ratify, because these laws were put in place to mitigate against a lot of legal cases or land grabbing, as the case may be, or other sharp practices that may come up. So that is what the Land Use Act was for. So when it came into being, that is why any land you have, for instance, and today we're looking at Lagos State, all these lands you look at, even if they're your ancestral heritage, you must go and record them at Alausa. If you don't do that, then it means you're not the owner of those lands. Now, what are the challenges that people have when they want to purchase land? Which is the reason why we are in business. You all should know this. What are the challenges people have? Number one, people have ignorance of the laws of the land. This Land Use Act, a lot of people don't know about it. So because of that ignorance of the law, people go about doing wrong things, taking wrong actions, saying wrong things without knowing it. But if you know and you sell land, you sell houses, this knowledge will actually equip you to do better. Wrong purchase. Usually, you buy from Omoniles. Look, the fact that it's here does not mean that if you buy land from Omonile, it is wrong. What is wrong is, how do you identify which of the Omoniles is the proper person to deal with? There's been instances, and like crazy ones, and it's not just in Lagos State, it happens everywhere, where you purchase land from a family, a man, and the man dies. Then his children will now come and start worrying you in that land that it's their father you bought land for, you didn't buy from them. What's that? It doesn't make sense. And from a greedy community, they will actually come out in support of that person, and you're having to pay twice. Then that person, maybe the first son comes, does that, you pay him, he moves away. The second son will come again with the same whole thing, and you have receipt from the father, you have a receipt from the first son, and despite all of this, they're coming, and so many other crazy ideas. So that is why you see Omonile here. It's not as if buying from Omonile is wrong, but it's difficult to actually identify the correct Omonile who actually owns, because what does Omonile mean literally? What does it mean? Son of the soil. Son of the soil. Onile is the owner of the land. Omo is the child of the owner of the land. So, son of the soil. That's what Omonile means. Then the next one, high transaction costs. A lot of lands are overpriced, and even real estate owned land, some of them are really overpriced. And we all know this, but we won't be naming names or pointing fingers, because we're not in the business of pointing fingers. We're in the business of doing our own and selling our own property, which we have priced reasonably. So let's leave those people who overprice their own to their own wahala. Access to finance and credit facilities. Some people want to purchase land and property, but they do not have access to money. Because they don't have access to money, it becomes a bit difficult for them to actually purchase these things and do whatever it is they want to do. And that's a major challenge in this country. Because the truth is, everybody should own land. As at 2023 January, Nigeria had a housing deficit of more than 20 million. Entire Nigeria, housing deficits. Let me ask us, how many of us in this room own a land? Let's see by show of hand. How many people own a land in this room? Do you see? But it's what we sell. Anywhere at all. You understand? But this is what we sell. The best advert you can do is you actually patronize what you do. Do you understand? So try, get one plot of land. It doesn't matter where you get it. Whether it's in your village, whether it's your state capital, whether in Lagos, Abuja, wherever it is. Try, own land, own a piece of this earth that you're standing on. It makes sense. I must tell you, it really does make sense. You never can tell when it will come in handy. And if somebody asks you that is trying to sell land, do you even own any land? Yes, I do. I have land at Ikorodu. Let it even be Ikorodu. Why didn't you own at Ekwe? Well, as at the time I purchased it, it was Ekwe. It was Ikorodu. But now I'm making plans to own one at Ekwe also, to increase my holding in land. Who is the largest real estate person in the world? I've mentioned that person's name before. Bill Gates. He owns over 350,000 hectares of land. In the world, 8 billion people. Only one man, they get over 350,000 acres. And so many people are born, they live, they die without owning land. Doesn't matter whether you're male or female, you should own land. You should. Make sure you try and do it. Put it as part of your plan. But why are people not able to do this? It's because of access to finance and credit facility. If it was readily available, a lot of people will own property, will own lands. But some people want to own, they can't get that access because they cannot accumulate the money or hold it all at once. But if they can find a way to pay off in installments, they'll do it. And that's the beautiful thing about Anchor Heights. Anchor Heights allows you to own land by paying installmentally. Do you see one of your selling points again? When you're selling Anchor Heights, sell installment payment for those who cannot afford to, just throw a chunk of money on the table for it. Transparency, openness, and ease of access to all. A lot of people do land business and it's not transparent. Some people have money, they can't buy land because they don't understand the transaction. They don't know what they should have. They don't know what they are supposed to have. They don't know how it goes. So that fear makes them run. So if you're talking to a person and you want that person to buy from you, let me advise you. You see, one of the ways you get somebody to buy land from you, immediately you're talking to the person, tell the person when you want to buy land, these are documents you need to have. Tell them those documents. There's a slide where I will show you all the documents. But make sure you know them. Count them out. Say, wherever you're buying land, you must have received all of these things. If you haven't, something is missing. Go back there and get them for posterity's sake. Inadequate public-private partnership to provide value for money services. What is this one talking about? Sometimes it could be easier if someone cannot fork out the money to pay for land all at once, and he cannot, get access to credit facility as an individual, stand alone. What if he comes together as a group? You see, all of us in this room that don't own land, we can decide and approach one microfinance bank. There's this land, Anchor Heights sells for 3 million. Can you facilitate, be our guarantor to Anchor Heights? You will put our own down payment, and then you make up the money, pay Anchor Heights, and then you will pay you by installments. But you must show them how you're going to be able to make that money up. Do you understand? So that's what you mean by public-private partnership. But you can approach, that's a private partnership using a microfinance. You can also go to government, Federal Mortgage Bank, and do the same thing. There are ways all these things can be done, and they have been done. But it is the know-how. If you don't know, you don't know. Land Use Act, here it is. Can someone read it out for us, please? Someone read it out.
An act to vest all land comprising the territory of each state, except land vested in the federal.
Please, just start again so they can hear you very well.
An act to vest all land comprising the territory of each state, except land vested in the federal government or its agencies, solely in the governor of the state, who would hold such land in trust for the people, and would henceforth be responsible for allocation of land in all urban areas to individuals resident in the state and to organizations for residential, agricultural, commercial, and other purposes, while similar powers with respect to non-urban areas are conferred on local governments.
I hope it's self-explanatory. It is? Is it self-explanatory? Ha! And in this class, and no, go move on. People no one talk. Oh, just they go. As now no one talk. Yes, now.
No,
I know ask.
No, it's not.
It is. So yeah, ask the question you want to ask.
We don't understand. Explain.
Right the board now. No be English. I go see speak.
No, explain.
And these specific questions, Ona must talk today. Ona go see. Ona go talk today. Oh yeah, I'm listening. Ask the question, then I'll answer. Otherwise, we'll let us move on.
We don't understand.
No, you must not. There has to be something you don't understand. Ask it. Ask that particular thing you don't understand, and I will explain. Now day here, now me day here. I go explain no, but you need to ask me specifics. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to fly through the slide. God, and they give you the thing easy. More than self talk, ask. Waiting and I want my explain there. That the same thing they talk. It's still English. So let us move on. Today.
No, okay, let me ask.
Uh-huh.
I understand that we have newbies in the house. We have people that
I know, talk for yourself, oh. Newbie, you get mad abi. Everybody wait there an adult. I beg, talk for yourself, oh, leave newbie. Me say I be newbie. You don't even say I be baby. Bouncing baby Angelo. You never hear?
Okay, I'm seeing that the governor of the state will allocate the urban areas, and then the local government will allocate the rural area. If I've read it well.
Yes.
Please explain.
You're spot on. What you said is correct. Areas like the hinterlands. Now, if you look out the window, you see lands in all those areas. Those lands, you see, but for Lagos State now, Lagos State government, the state, does not even allow the local government to do anything. But in other states, that's not to say that local government in Lagos does not have the power. In, you know, like all these areas that are deemed rural, that you have villages, settlements, all of that, it's local government that regulates land in that place. If you want something, go to the local government, whatever they give you, because they also report to state governments. So they are still part of government, you know, but the urban center is purely state. Because the kind of infrastructure urban centers need, local government cannot foot that bill. You know, for instance, they decide to do this kind of road. Can any local government do this kind of road? It has to be state at the minimum. Because federal government has no business building road. It has to be state doing this level of road that you see here. No local government can do this kind of road, except it's an oil producing local government or a seriously agricultural local government. But even so, you know, so that's what it means. For those rural areas, local government will do the function. But whatever local government does, state government will ratify, because it's state government that told them, do it this way, do it that way. Do you understand? So basically that's what it means. So types of land in Lagos State. You have land under acquisition, one, and you have free land. It's either the land is under acquisition or it is free. Then if it is under acquisition, you see, there's a particular unique thing about Lagos, because Lagos used to be a federal capital. Now some people will tell you that Calabar used to be capital. Yes, it was in those days. By that time, people never wake up. You know, so yes, Calabar's development till today is because it was a capital. That's why, I don't know who has been to Calabar here. The kind of, Calabar is a beautiful, beautiful town. Still beautiful till tomorrow. Lovely, fresh air, clean, nobody this one way. When they breathe for you, if you go that town, you love it. It's a beautiful place to be, you know. But a lot of those things happened to it because it was a federal capital back. It don't say, you know. Then again, Lagos, more recently, and the time Lagos was federal capital, you know, people and activities were happening. So Lagos's development happened because it was federal capital. And anywhere you have, you know, one of the things that drive development, seat of government. Once you have government in any place, you can be sure. First of all, everybody runs there to get allocation, to get approval, to get this, get that. So that's how Lagos got to be as it is. So Lagos has developed far ahead of any other place in Nigeria. If you're counting economies in Africa, you count Nigeria, you count South Africa, you count Egypt, and then you come back and count Lagos, a state in Nigeria. As largest economies in Africa, Lagos so to stand alone among more than other. If you see, how many countries does Africa have? I think 54, 53 countries. It don't reach 56. We don't create new ones. Okay, I think it's 54. Okay, so but Lagos, when you're talking top 5, Lagos is there. Top 5 economies in Africa. Nigeria is there, of course. South Africa, Egypt. I think is either one other country, then Lagos. One state. The same way if you're talking about economy of the world, you have US, you have Japan, you have China, you have India. And then you now have California, a state in America, being bigger than many countries in the world. So, we'll come back to what we're talking about. Land under acquisition. When they say land is under acquisition, there is 2 types of acquisition. What does acquisition mean? It means that government has an interest in that land. Government has an interest. And anywhere government has an interest, you should do well to avoid it. Don't go and buy it, because anybody selling it to you, that person gets them. There are 2 types. Committed acquisition and global acquisition. You see the committed one. Now, government, because you see the word committed, it is already for a purpose. Let us say this land we're looking out of the window here now. Government has already said, you see this place, we're going to build a train station in this place. or a BRT bus terminal, or a health center, or a school. Do you understand? I hope you understand the kind of things they can build. And it's a structure that is for people. It can even be a church or a mosque. They can decide to build church and mosque, maybe interdenominational service, and then a mosque beside it. If government has put that kind of purpose, or they want to build one government office or one government thing, it is committed acquisition. Because that land, if you go and chart it, you go to the Bureau of Lands, you will see there, designated for BRT bus terminal. If you have the coordinates, and the coordinate of this land shows up, you see designated for so and so purpose. That's committed acquisition. So government has acquired that land from the settlers, the original owners, the aborigines. You know, government has acquired it. Then the second one, global acquisition. Now government can also still acquire this land. Say, in future, we might have use for this land, but we don't know what we want to use it for yet. It can be for anything, but we want to use it in future. They will acquire it. If you go and chart that land in the Bureau of Lands, Land Registry Office, you still see it acquired by Lagos State government. You see that they've acquired it, but there will be no specific purpose for it. That's global, because they've not decided. And in due course, such a land also can be released for people based on development rate. And in truth, you see the areas, a lot of lands in this our axis from Aja down used to be agricultural allocation. A lot of them. They used to be agricultural allocation. But because population density, you know, there is something about government. Number one, the primary thing they're interested in is in people, welfare of people. So if people are increasing, that agricultural allocation, they will now change it through that stratification process, and it becomes, you know, residential allocation. Or if they decide that, okay, let's build factories here to stay away from people, it becomes industrial allocation. They say, okay, let us allow small businesses and the rest to stay here. It becomes commercial allocation. So that is it. So if it's not committed or acquisition, then it is free land. And free land means like this land now. Let us say this land now is, let's say, 1 acre. How many plots make up an acre? And government decides to take 10 plots out of it. It's 1 acre. They decide to take 5 plots out of it for what they want to build. The government acquires 5 plots and leaves 1 plot for the owner. The owner can only sell that 1 plot. The portion of that land that is free is 1 plot. The portion that is acquired is 5 plots. But there is a way. Sometimes, you know, people will hear, oh, government acquisition, they run from the area. It does not necessarily mean that everything in the area has been acquired. Where you can determine the boundaries is from the land registry. And note this example, I'll be using this land a lot. Let us call it, for the purpose of our class, 1 acre, that's 6 plots. And government acquires 5 plots out of it, leaving 1 plot free for the owners. That 1 plot that is free, they can buy and sell it as they want. They can sell it to you, you sell it to the next person, sell it to the next person, fine, it's okay. But you see that 5 plots, even though there's no fence, they leave it, it's bush. Animals, they come out. If you like, go and cut. If they worry you and you're living close, cut it or do something to prevent the animals. But you cannot do anything there. Because it's not about government. The day they decide that they want to use it, if you like, build the 10-story building there, it's going down. And if they even find out that you're the one that did it, they'll prosecute you and charge you for even demolishing your property. And you can go to court and go to jail for it. Land titles in Lagos State. Now, a lot of people will tell you that they don't have this many, but what I try to do here is I try to bring out all the ways in which a person can own land in Lagos and it will be valid. People will say land, hey, CFO, governors can say, hey, accession. It doesn't end there. There is more. There is more. And the knowledge of this is what will make you very good salesmen of land. There are some of these things that apply only to Lagos State. Some apply nationwide. In fact, all around the world, a lot of the things are similar. They can come in different names, but basically they are basically addressing the same thing. Now, let's start with the first one, freehold. Okay, let's move on here. Freehold. Please, can somebody just read this again for us?
Freehold. A freehold land title highlights the perpetuity by which a landowner owns the land, free from hold. The term freehold is used to describe land that is free from government acquisition or encumbrances. This means that freehold land ownership has no limit. This type of ownership is especially found where the first settlers of a land live and own. This type of land is popular in Epe, Lagos State.
I hope it's clear. The grammar is simple now. We'll move to the next one, Abi. It's very clear. Thank you. If you have a question, also excision. When I don't get a question for the first one, I don't tell now for this class. Now, if I know ask, we'll move on like that. Excision. Please, again, somebody read it out. Let someone else read.
To excise the land means to cut
Excise.
It out. Sorry, to excise the land means to cut it out of the whole. This is a process whereby the government releases a parcel of land back to the indigenous owners of such lands for the purpose of development. State governments use land excise to release land into indigenous people or settlers following legal protocols and process. Since the Land Use Act was enacted, land excision has been used as a method for compensating the original landowners. When the excised parcel of land is published in government official gazette, the land then has gazette as title. This type of land is popular in Ibejueki, Lagos State.
Just like the freehold. Should we now understand freehold well? Well, now go understand this one too.
No.
Why not they do like this? Class of brilliant people like this, so they form a handle. Eh? I can't hear you. This one is different from the first one. Oh yeah, what part of it don't you? You must ask me specifics. Ask. Oh yeah, back go freehold. Ask. Siam. Now fight too. Oh yeah.
Freehold now,
Yes.
is majorly applicable to the original settlers of the land. What if those settlers, like say my papa house now freehold there, but my papa wants sell him land, give maybe stranger, and the stranger no go ahead to perfect any title. Is it still freehold? Is it until a title is perfected on it, or once it don't come up for the hand of the original settlers? So explain freehold.
See sense. You won't make I explain everything. Okay. They don't get mouths. You don't know whether people will carry first class from the time when they did nursery school. Now they class. The person they get first class, if you understand everything. So let's do that. But you see, talking about freehold is, as the name implies, is free of government encumbrances. The land belongs to the aborigines. Who are aborigines? Aborigines are the original people who settled the land, the first settlers. When you hear family land, now family land, somebody wants to buy land that is not an estate land. Now family land, that's the question. What do you mean by family land? Is it the original owners that still own it? Yes, please.
Origins, are they also referred to as ancestral owners?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the same. Yes, please.
Lands like this, when bought, you can go ahead to do your government-sponsored rights.
Say again.
From freehold,
Yes.
let's document to do is certificate of occupancy.
It can be anyone though. You know, there's a normal track for the land. Where excision even comes in is where a government has interest in the area. If government don't have an interest, there will be no need for anything excision. But you see, where government comes, for instance, let us say that our 1 acre here, 6 plots, is in the hand of the aborigines. Let us say you are the aborigine that owns it, the indigenous settler. You understand? Nobody actually owns land because nobody was then born follow land. It's just that as people were migrating over time, they decided to settle there, and nobody contested it with them. They become the owners. Do you understand? That's how people will actually get to say, oh yeah, that we get out. So, and that right is understood worldwide. Nobody argues with any aborigine. Anywhere you settled is where you own. You exercise rights over it. So if you are the aborigine that owns this, maybe you can even decide to go and do your C of O by yourself. But if maybe government comes and says we want to build a BRT terminal on 5 plots of your land, government will collect 5 plots from you, whether you're willing or unwilling. They like them, they say they like them. They take the 5 plots, they will now do what is called excision. That excision says, yes, we're interested in, what's your name? Shola. We're interested in Shola's land, right? They will not give you excision and say, out of this Shola, this 1 acre, these 6 plots, we're interested in, we have taken 5. We have given 1 plot back to Shola for Shola and her descendants to exercise any rights they want on. So it will not, anybody who wants to buy will know that even though government is interested in this area or in Shola's land, it's not everything. That document gives you shows people that yes, you can deal on that remaining 1 plot.
What's if the land has already been sold before government showed interest?
It doesn't matter at what point. Whoever it is in their hand, the thing about it is, if government has an interest in a land, they normally will compensate. You see, normally, let me give you an instance. When Dangote came, there are people living there, right? They had to relocate about 33, 34 villages for Dangote alone, not to talk of the free trade zone. So those families were relocated. They were compensated, given cash. They didn't have CFO now. They were aborigines. But because it was confirmed that yes, these are the people who settled here, what they will do in that instance is, that is where local government regulates, local government. Which of these families do you even recognize? They say yes, the chieftaincy family in this place. Do you understand? What chieftaincy family lives here, or rules here, or has a right over this place? They now begin to name them one by one. That chieftaincy, whoever is the traditional ruler should know in his domain who owns what. They will ask him, who owns this parcel? It is Shola's family. Who owns the next parcel? Emma's family. Who owns the next one? Adeze's family. Who owns the next one? Uche's family. Do you see? That way, they know who owns what. Because government doesn't live with you. So they will know who owns what. Even if you've sold that your land to another person, government comes, they will ask you, you tell them, I have sold my land to Angelo. They will not say, okay, since you sold to Angelo, in your stead, if we're dealing with Uche, Emma, Adeze, we also deal with Onyema. Or we also deal with Angelo. As the case may be. But you will no longer be there. Because you've sold your interests to me. I will be the one sitting where you're sitting now to deal with government. But government will now compensate me and take. They won't take it by force. It's not for free. But government already has their ways of settling. You don't negotiate price with government. And they know how much their land worth in their books. That's what they will use. They will use the rate of development. There are a lot of indices they use to arrive at a terms of settlement. But for those who they relocated from Ibeju, they moved them, took them somewhere down towards Elerongbe axis, gave them land, gave them money. So they're now living in a new village. If tomorrow again there's need for land in that area again and that area is not developed, they can still do the same thing. Take them somewhere else, give them money again. So long as there's need for something that government wants to use it for. Yes, please.
So, sir, I just want to confirm, is there a sort of compensation for such?
Yes. That's what I just explained. That's why they ask for the heads. Who is the king or who are the people? Depending on the type of governorship, rulership, or the type of, first of all, they go to local government. Local government now say, see this place, what they have is Bale. This place, what they have is Igwe. This place, they have Eze. This place, there is no ruler. They have a council of elders. It's the local government that will tell the state that we'll deal with the council of elders. Council of elders will not, or the Bale, or the whoever the family head will not name this family, that family owns so that you're interested in. Then it's those people will now deal with and give settlements. Hope it's clear. So Ekpe is very popular for this year because it's a very, very rural area as yet. Yes. No, but it's still rural. It is still rural. When they get traffic jam inside Ekpe, Shola, do you have traffic jam in Ekpe like you have here?
That doesn't make it rural.
It's just one of the determinant factors. Do you have population like you have here? If you want to do, like for instance now, your NIN, you go to Ekpe Center, will there be a crowd? No, there won't be a crowd. I've been there. There is no crowd.
How much they sell land?
No. See, there are indices. There are indices used to determine these things. No, understand. There are indices. I'm just giving you some of those indices. I understand you. Now my own, you want, yes. Ekpe is not urban yet. It's still rural. But the way it go use jump from rural to urban, it go shock people. In fact, land don't they finish for Ekpe. It's still plenty, but it don't the way they are buying Ekpe now. That way, we'll look at it later, but it's still rural. But they're beginning to put features of urban, but it hasn't got there yet. So that is freehold. Excision. Now remember when I talked about that excision, remember the example I gave, Shola? That is what excision is about. Remember, to exercise land means to cut it out of a hole. Like that your one plot, they will not carve it out of that 6 plots and give it back to you. And give you documents to back it up. That anybody who you want to sell that your one plot, somebody say, no, I hear say government get interest here. Is that your document that will convince the person that, yes, even though government has an interest, government is not interested in the entire land. This part I can still deal with. Buy and make I say money take do it and I won't do. You see the essence of excision and why it is issued. So it is an instrument that government uses to return land back and show people prospective transaction can still happen on that land. Gazettes. Now, what is the gazette? When they give you excision, you now take that your excision, you go to government, go back. It's Lagos State government that will give you excision. You now take it and go back to Lagos State government again and go and register it. A gazette is actually a journal that records what state government does. Even local government has its own gazette. Federal government has a gazette. Sometimes when you are looking for something, they say, okay, where you find this document in government is when you go there, go to social ministry or social department or agency, and you check for the gazette social year and social number. There is a journal. They open that journal every year. Things are entered into those journals. Those journals are bulky. So if you want to do search, it is things like this. When they enter them, somebody in 10 years' time might go and search. They will now refer the person to this 2024. Go and search there, number maybe 6,000 and something. You go there, they will now see information about this your particular land and how the excision was given. But because they now went back and registered, it becomes a gazette. So, someone read it out for us before we move on.
When the excised land is declared in the government's official gazette, such land is said to have gazette as the title. The gazette then becomes the title of the land. Gazette is a legal record book that explicitly details the characteristics of a parcel of land that has been excised and recovered by the family or community. The name of the community and details of the land used in the excision process who are included in this document. A person or community can apply for a certificate of occupancy or governor's consent with the Gazette. Excision and Gazette are good titles connected to land ownership and transfer, and it ensures that land is safe to buy and develop.
So it's clear. It's clear enough, right? Good. So that is what Gazette does. There's something. I was very, very hesitant. I say, if you have a Gazette, you can actually apply for C of O or governor's consent. I was hesitant when I put that governor's consent because a lot of people now just go for governor's consent. But mind you, every land must have a C of O. Must. Now, why I put it eventually after, I'm the one pointing it out to you guys now. Now, don't ask me. The reason I put it out there is because I wanted you guys to understand. Sometimes lands like this area, they might have done a global C of O. Once there's a global C of O, you might not know. You just, I won't go do C of O from you. Buy a plot, I won't go do C of O. You won't be able to do C of O. Why? Because a C of O already exists. C of O can only be issued once and not more than once. Any other person buying after cannot get a C of O. C, okay.
What about excision in progress?
Excision in progress. And it doesn't have excision.
Should we still sell excision in progress?
You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. If it's either if it's not paracetamol, if it's not Panadol, it cannot be the same thing as Panadol. It's either it has excision or it doesn't have. Because that thing that is awaiting approval, what if eventually the approval is denied and you've sold it and government says, nope, we're interested in that land. For this purpose, we cannot say let's move to another place. No, we still want that land and you've sold it. What happens? You and that person will now go court. They get wahala, unnecessary problem. Rather than you doing new things, you're battling old matters. So if it doesn't have excision, it doesn't have excision. Excision must be in hand, a document. Now, this is what Lagos State Official Gazette looks like. It's like I said, it's actually a very bulky document. You move from page to page, but you see something like this. Lagos State of Nigeria Official Gazette, and then as you move along, other pages, the document was blank because it's personalized. You understand? It's personalized. So, and remember, it's very, very specific. So it's not like block out a few words and leave. The ones that will remain won't make sense. But just to show you how something comes like this, just begin to for you to have an idea what it's about. Yes, please.
Okay. I want to put a little more light to it because we are asking relevant questions, but some of the questions are not touching the actual thing we are looking at here. Because all these things from freehold to let's even get to this concept, they are all interlinked.
Of course.
They are almost the same thing.
Of course.
The government has come to this house, and this house has 6 rooms. They said we want to use 5 to do an office. They have had that discussion with you. That one room they are not using has become a free room. That is freehold. Now they go ahead to give you a document to tell you that we actually knew what we say. That has become a decision. They have exercised that. They have told you in document that we don't want to use that one. Now, Gazette, they go back to publicize it in newspaper or newspaper type for the world to see that Angelo's one room, we are not interested in it today or in the future. So it becomes a Gazette thing. They have publicized it. So Gazette is almost much like a publication that the government does to express what they feel or know about a particular thing. So if you follow it down that line, they will first of all give you a freehold, exercise it, and give the whole world a document that means that government is not interested in that thing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's good more they get professors for class. See the value. If you don't hear my own, I'm supposed to hear your own. That's a beautiful way to put it. Now, this is when you see something like this. Of course, before you see the stamp. All these na government office stamps, signatures, you know, official copy and all that. This is basically what a gazette looks like. Differences between excision and gazette. You know, excision and gazette are similar. The gazette now, if in, okay, I didn't put the picture of a gazette. A gazette now, of an excision. An excision is like a survey, right? It will show you a map of this entire 6 plots. Now, they can use, you know, shade a portion. Now, let us say this is 1 acre. Government is interested in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they are giving you back 6, right? If you're going to see an excision document, it will look like this. You see this shaded, all these portions will be shaded. And there will be, you know, for every map, there is what you call a legend. A legend for a map, they will show you 2 boxes. And then a second box, blank. This one will be, they will label it excised area. Free area. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like. So when you see that, once you see an excision document, it means this whole shaded portion belongs to government. This is what government is interested in. And they will give you the coordinates, the longitude and the latitude. Let us, for instance, say 32 degrees 4 inches latitude. Then they also give you the longitude. Let us say 63 degrees 12 inches longitude and latitude, so that if you take that longitude and latitude, if you have a system, you plot it on the system, on the map of the world, it will localize and show you where the exact boundaries. You understand? It will give you precise boundaries of what government owns and what they have given back to you. I don't know if I'm making sense. So that is it. So now, difference between excision and somebody read, please. Let somebody read them out.
Difference between excision and gazette. Excision features the community granted land for commercial or residential purposes, while a gazette details all necessary information, including the special government details such as the village or family accorded the rights, the acres of land, and the purpose of the land, amongst others.
Now, you see, do you see that? That's the reason why when I showed you this, I couldn't show you the information. You know, it's somebody's document. You know, I cannot be showing you, because remember, it's so detailed. It gives you the names of the people you should be talking to when you go to that community. Gives you the exact, everything is well detailed. But for if it were excision, you simply see a map. But excision, they'll put it excision for land belonging to so and so and so. Then you now see this map, shaded portion is the excised portion. You know, it will give you the coordinates, just like I have put there, so that you know precisely the area you should. If what you're buying is not within these 6, don't buy. But if what you want to buy is, if 6 can do what you want, go ahead and buy. Government is only interested in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Continue, please.
Without a gazette, an excised land can be seized or revoked from the owners. Hence, a gazette is superior and must be gotten for security purposes.
You know, somebody asked a question earlier. What about awaiting excision in progress? Do you see, even the excision itself, it's a good title, but it doesn't stop government from still coming back and say, now we still want that remaining. You know, government can come back and say, we still want this one. So once you have your excision, go ahead and document it. Do you know what all these processes do for you? Once you begin to acquire more documents on the land, you are beginning to increase the value of that land. What they pay you for an excision land is not the same thing they pay you for a land with gazette. Your bargaining power is much higher. If your land also has CFO, is again your document has a higher value. So, go ahead.
An excise title shows the land left for a community by the government, while a gazette publishes legal notices to comply with lawful requirements for public information and will detail the acquisition process between the government and the community, including land still owned by the government.
Do you see? What basically that part is telling you is, if government has acquired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from you and gave you excision, tomorrow they can come back and say, in fact, that 6 way remain, give us the whole of it, we'll still pay you. But if you go ahead and do gazette, when they come to do that, you will now say, waiting, even this one again, I'll be on only me use my land, do something. Now not see another person, all those kind of, they will not look at you, okay, let's leave this people, let's look at another, what other area can we cite that airport? What other area can we cite that hospital? What other area can we put that army barracks? These are things they use to finish people's land. If federal government wants to build a barracks, may they know you come near your place, say they won't build barracks, your land will finish. And you see, because it's something that's for the welfare of people, you have to comply. If you refuse, they have way, they'll just take not be then good, they give the other. C of O. This is the most popular for all land titles. Even people that don't know what it is. Say the land gets C of O. They don't use fake C of O, scam people well. Because they don't know what it's even about. So, somebody read this.
A certificate of occupancy, CFO, is a state government issued document used to prove ownership of land. Without a CFO, your land or property can be seized at any point in time without compensation.
Yes. What this tells us is, remember we talked about excision, we talked about gazette. Now, if you do not have proper documentation of these things, your land can be taken. Remember, I don't know if we recollect when they were building the rail line along the Badagry rail line from Theatre all the way down. I grew up for ghetto. Ghetto I grew, Coca Relay side. Now there they grew. Yeah, better ghetto. So when they were taken, there are people who built houses. The old road used to be very close. Houses used to be very close to the expressway. Even banks, for so many years. So when they started expanding, because now they were going to do 6 lanes of road and 2 lanes for trains in the middle. Altogether, 4 here, 4 here. Houses went. If your house has been documented, they were properly sold though, not that, government did not, the original setback and on the original road was known. Let us say it is just these 2 square tiles, this for going this way, this for returning. But now they wanted to build, 3 lanes here, plus, they will do the train in the middle and 3 lanes for going this way. Another rail track here and 3 lanes for coming this way. That's altogether 8. So what it entails was, people who have built their houses to the previous boundary, which is here, they have to take all the way until they get here. So people were forfeiting. For some people whose their houses, for some reasons, did not get to the road. If now only the front part of your house, they for the road, they will cut the mouth, the tongue of your house come up. The remaining house still stand, but part of it. You see some houses that they've been cut that way. Because that is the portion that fell into the area they needed. But if you have proper documentation, even that face of the house they are cutting, they will compensate you for it. But where you never even bother to do any documentation and your house don't enter urban area, you're on your own. But if you're in a rural area, it will be easier for community head to speak up. Our people, they never open eye well, they will give them compensation. But if your place is now urbanized and you are still living in your house without going to do the documentation, or yours is your case, go there, register it, do all those documentation so that you never can tell. They might never come, or it might never be needed. But if it is needed by government and you don't have documentation, your own loss. Because somehow you have to prove that you're the owner before they can compensate you. It's all about what you can prove. Prove it, you get your compensation. I'm not saying that definitely they'll take it from you. Note what I'm saying. But all you have to do is prove that you're the owner. If once you can prove anything belongs to you, nobody takes it from you. So, continue.
A certificate of occupancy is usually granted for a maximum period of 99 years, after which it may be renewed after application. It indicates that the specific owner of the property increases the land value and be accepted as collateral when taking loans and prevents government repossession or false claim of the property by other parties.
Good. Remember when I said before, each time you go and do a documentation on your property, you increase the value of the land. Remember, this is it here. If you even, by the time you even do CFO, you further increase the value of that land. Even if it's an empty land, you've increased its value. It cannot be sold at the same amount as the next plot of land that don't have document. It can't be sold at the same amount, except it's a distress sale. A land that has documentation is different from one without documentation. That's why Ekpe lands are still cheap. It's still in the hands of the family, because if you take it, you still have to go and process document. But even now, there are some parts of Ekpe you can't even go and process your phone now, because they are still marked as agricultural allocation. You can't. You have to hold it until development gets there, and government now decides, okay, now because of population have come here, we can now designate this, ratify it from agric to residential. Then you can go and apply for any document you want. But for now, you must buy it with the family, from the family, with only deed of assignment, and hold on to your deed. If you do agric CFO, you must farm. You buy agric land, you're supposed to use it for farming. You can't live. You see, people can build a farmhouse on agric CFO, but not properly residential and commercial activity. A lot of things we do in this country is just illegal. Yeah, a lot of things we do is just illegal. But you see, that's why sometimes when the law catches up with us, it looks like, the law is heartless. But things are known. I'm not talking about the recent demolitions. So those ones have a different coloring to it. But, without all these, now politicians are our problem. Without our politicians getting involved, a lot of things. There were times, do you guys remember when they were demolishing places around the Eleko? Yes. Such type of demolition is actually a legal one, because there's a reason why those areas were kept. And people went to be buying and selling what is not theirs. But the only challenge in Nigeria is we've not come up with a law that would actually, yes, punish the buyer for buying wrongly, but give the seller extra punishment. But those sellers will just go to another area and start selling again. The same people perpetrating same thing in a cycle. But as Nigeria is, we never develop reach to be able to catch. We need to go digital to catch people when they do things.